the way that I was meant to promote this, so Goddess Isis, as you said, the one that was supporting me to create this free event, said there will be 200 signups. And like, seriously, I laughed. I'm like, how? And she's like, watch me. And I said, okay. And, you know, leading up to that free event, like I was super nervous. It was the first time I was going to host something that big online.
Yeah.
And then the days leading up to the event, you know, it was just more and more people signing up. And I'm like, yeah, we're never going to hit 200. And I shit you not, the day of the event, 200 signups on the dot.
Reminder, you did not come here to play someone else's game, to box yourself in, or to let fear guide your choices. You came here to experience joy and abundance and to love the shit out of your life. The Truejectory Podcast is here to remind you of a few important truths. 1, you are the creator of your reality. 2, anything that you can dream or imagine, you can create. 3, following passion is the quickest way to align you with your true path. 4, your reality is always a reflection of your current thoughts and beliefs, and those thoughts and beliefs can be changed at any time. You are amazing, and it's time to own who you really are. Tune in weekly to be reminded that you can create the life that you're dreaming of and to learn exactly how to do it. Get inspired by those who have been bold enough to follow their passions and have created their dream life because of it. If you're ready to stop playing small, stop holding yourself back, and start aligning with your trajectory, let's do it. We have a first on the Truejectory Podcast, and I'm so excited. We have our very first return guest, and of all the guests that I could possibly have had return, this is my very first guest who was ever on the show with me, the beautiful Nina. How you doing, Nina?
I'm doing good, and it's such an honor to be back as your first returning guest.
I'm so excited. We were just talking about how, like, just I'm feeling so relaxed because we've done this before, and like I know how you operate, and we're just vibing, and it's just so awesome. But for anyone who wants to hear Nina's backstory, obviously scroll all the way down to the bottom of the podcast. She's episode, I think, 2, because I did a solo one to start. But Nina is a psychic. She's a channel. She's a healer. She's a business coach, right? Like through your channeling, you coach people on their businesses, among many other things. Is that correct?
I would call myself more of a soul mission mentor than a business coach. But yeah,
okay,
there is an element of business channeling, or like quite a big element, but yeah.
I love that. And that's the thing. You've evolved so much in just 6 months ever since we spoke last. So this is really exciting. But we're not going to go into the whole backstory of how you went from being a high-powered lawyer to a psychic channel, and your whole world just completely flipped upside down, and everything you know, fell into trust and surrender, and you started to really understand how to work with the divine and be very spirit-led. Today, I want to talk about a few things I've seen you do in the last few months, which have blown my mind. And I would love to give the audience some tools and some tips and some advice around how they can potentially start to activate their own psychic abilities, open up their channels, and to be able to receive more divine guidance for themselves. So how does that sound?
That sounds amazing.
I'm so excited. Okay, so something that you've just done a couple of months ago was, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was one of your first big launches, right? It was called the Portal of Prosperity, and it was a 2-day live event online, and I hadn't seen you launch really anything big prior to that. You had started working with Goddess Isis very closely, so you're channeling beautiful ancient Egyptian divine energies, and from what I understand, she was sort of guiding you and saying, this is the sort of event you need to do, this is who it's going to serve. And she also told you how many people were going to rock up. And so Nina is someone who, she's not like a social media junkie. She's not on there all the time going, guys, look at me, guys, this is what I'm doing. Hey, everyone, like, look at my new event. Hey, I got another launch. Hey, she's not that person. She is someone who lives her life. She's like deep in the living part of existence, which is so beautiful. And she goes on long holidays and she just experiences life. And yet, you know, business coaches of today would turn in their graves going, wait, you didn't prep, you didn't, you know, build up for this for 6 weeks. You didn't warn people about this. You didn't do this. You did. She basically came out from what I saw and went, you know, I'm launching this thing. And like, literally that day, she had so many people signing up to the point where I think you got almost 200 people. And then later I saw in one of your stories saying, yeah, well, I didn't believe that I would have 200 people, but Goddess Isis told me I would. So I just trusted and I went for it, and bam. So can you tell me about this experience? I know I've just told half of it because I'm just so excited. I'm like such a fan of what you're doing. But just the fact that you didn't listen to all of the, got to do it this way, got to do it within these parameters. You just trusted, surrendered. You listened to this like very specific guidance, and you had amazing success. So how was that journey for you? What happened?
What happened? That's a great question. So as you mentioned, this was my first launch of a group offering that I had previously, and I've only been working one-on-one with clients, which was, I was doing well. Things were always going well. I was fully booked out, but my guidance team were like, you are here to work with big groups. You are here to work in a much bigger scale. So come on, it's time to step up. And this program was actually gifted to me, if I would say that, from Goddess Isis, saying this is what you are here to create. And I was very intimidated by it because it is really like the whole program is about embodying the divine feminine. Like, of course, it's all about soul purpose, activating your beautiful gifts, living a life of abundance, but it is very much centered about being an embodiment of the divine feminine. And this has been one of my greatest learnings in this lifetime, being very like masculine in my energy, very logical thinking, to actually surrendering into the divine feminine, to surrendering more to my mission, to more of my spiritual gifts and having them come online. So I was a little bit afraid about bringing this program to the world. And the interesting thing was, since this was a program very focused around divine feminine energy, the guidance that came through was like, you don't really need to know what this is about. This is what it is. This is who it's for. This is how long it is. This is the pricing. These are the transformations. And I'm like, but what is it about? And it was the silence. And I was, that would freak me out, because I mean, even though I'm a channel, I like to have some certainty and, what is it that I'm creating? No, it's not for you to know. You will channel it as you go because it's going to be very much in that feminine energy. We're just completely surrendering. So the guidance that came through was to create this program and create a free training for it. So the way that this program was actually birthed, it is a bit of an initiation. So it is a period of receiving upgrades. It is a period of receiving activations, things that I need to heal within me to be able to bring through these frequencies. So it was a lot of like deep spiritual work to do before I actually brought this program to the world. But as you mentioned yourself, the way that we work when we do 5D business, quantum business, if you will, is very different from 3D business strategies and all the things that people tell you. Because I'm going to be honest, and I'm a lazy entrepreneur. I'm owning it. I am lazy. I like to be a human. I like to live my life. And in all honesty, like last year, I had some health conditions that really kicked my ass. So like, I don't have that like great capacity to show up online and every day and do these really huge things. But my motto is less effort, more flow. This is my motto with everything, even with all the clients that I work with, because they work very in similar ways. Like we channel exactly what it is that they are meant to do, what their beautiful mission is on this planet, who they're here to serve, how, with what kind of product, and exactly everything that they need to know. And then we channel the exact strategies, because sometimes you would logically think, I had a client recently who has quite a big following, and she was also going to launch her first group program. And usually, as you would say, like a business coach would tell you, you need to prep your audience, you need to warm them up for like 2 weeks, and then you have to have this big, free event, and then you need to send emails every single day, and you need to sell. And it's a lot. And I mean, a lot of people do actually, they have experienced burnout before, either in their corporate jobs before starting their own businesses, or they've been burnt out in their businesses because they've been using that masculine fire the whole time. And what happens when you're always in your fire? You burn out. So what happens is that when you follow the guidance that comes through on exactly how it is that you are meant to create success, that is when it happens for you. And I see this each and every day with the clients that I work with as well. Because if you, for example, have a huge following, you would think, I need to promote on Instagram because that's where my people are. So if I would take this example with a client that I have who has a big following, her guides were like, no, there, you don't need to show up on Instagram. Your people are actually offline. And this is really important to know because as online entrepreneurs, we forget that humans exist outside of the interwebs.
So true.
So she was like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, seriously, they are offline. Make use of your contacts, talk to humans, talk to people, get it out there. And she was like, okay. So I don't think she posted more than like twice to promote her free training. And she, used her offline magic, her contacts. And she was like, you know what? Like 80% of the people that signed up were actually offliners. And I'm like, you see? And she got an exact number as well. And that's exactly how many people signed up to her free event. And the same way, we did channel about her group offering that it would be between 8 to 12 people. And the funny thing is, she even said it herself. I'm actually quoting her. She had a crappy sales page that was kind of half-assed. And did not promote much on Instagram. I believe she posted like a few times. Fully sold out launch.
Oh my god.
It's unheard of. Like this is when you're using the magic of energetics and quantum business. And really truly tapping. This is the power of tapping into your soul frequency, your soul gifts, and what it is that you are here to share with the world. Because it is an energetic game. And we are all, creations of source. So we have these source codes within us. And when we surrender to that, this is what we, shine out into the world. And that is what attracts people to us. So it's all about attraction. It's all about tapping into your most authentic expression of who you are, doing it your way, the way that you are meant to do it. And deconditioning from all the rules, what people tell you that you need to be successful, and following someone else's 5-step process because it's not going to feel good. Now I got totally off topic. You were asking me.
No, there's so many pieces of gold in there. It's also true. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. So when I did create this program, then I channeled what it was going to be, like a free 2-day event, and I just want to mention it. I have a very small following on Instagram. A very small following.
I wanted to mention that. I actually did. I think that's so important because, again, people go into their minds going, well, I can't ever launch anything until I've got thousands of followers. And it's like, go talk to Nina.
Absolutely. And there are people that have, 15,000 followers and they launch something and nobody buys. Your follower count means absolutely nothing. I'm sorry, but it means nothing.
It's so true.
Yeah. So you can have all the followers in the world, but if you're doing something that doesn't feel authentic, that is not magnetizing, where you're using like Chat GPT to create your programs rather than like channeling it. And I don't mean that everybody needs to be a channel, but truly, tapping into your soul, your higher self, what it is that you are here to do and what you want to create. It's not going to sell, or it can sell, but it'll be hard. It'll be like pushing a rock up a hill, and it's going to feel like work rather than flow. So the way that I was meant to promote this, so Goddess Isis, as you said, the one that was supporting me to create this free event, said there will be 200 signups. And like, seriously, I laughed. I'm like, how? And she's like, watch me. And I said, okay. And, leading up to that free event, like I was super nervous. It was the first time I was going to host something that big online.
Yeah.
So I was too freaked out to actually, promote the crap out of it online. And I don't know what happened, Sarah. Like seriously, I do not know what happened. Because this is what I mean with that your energy leads. Like you are the algorithm. Seriously, you are the algorithm. It's not about like choosing all of these catchy, okay, it's helpful to, know your copywriting and like the titles, but it's not what really counts. It really is your energy. Because as I said, like a really small following, and then I create this one reel. Sarah, to promote this.
I was going to confirm that because I'm pretty sure you did one. And then the next post I saw was like, hey guys, I've already sold like 100 like seats to this thing. I'm like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah, well, that one got like, I don't know how many views. Like it was insane. And compared to anything I'd ever posted before. So you are the algorithm, number one. And then like, I remember one day I was just like really tired. So I was just laying on the couch, lazy entrepreneurship, as I said. And I'm like, what's the easiest way for me to promote this right now? So it's like, okay, go into Facebook groups, chit chat with people, do things. And then that's literally what I did. And then the days leading up to the event, you know, it was just more and more people signing up. And I'm like, yeah, we're never going to hit 200. And I shit you not, the day of the event, 200 signups on the dot.
Oh,
and I was
goodness.
like, damn, she meant business.
Don't mess with ISIS.
Don't mess with ISIS. So, yeah, so it really is like a lot of the things that do come through sound like they can make, like this makes no sense at all. How is this supposed to be possible? You know, I would assume like 40, 50 people, that would have been good.
That's huge, right? Like that's
Yeah,
huge, 40
yeah.
or 50.
First
So
time for sure, especially with not like much promotion. But like this is the way that it works. Like the illogical results do not come from taking logical action steps. And like I said, I do this like with my clients all the time. We work on doing the healing work and the energetic upgrades so that you become a magnet to everything that you desire. And when you do create what it is that you're meant to share with the world, I mean, that is your greatest gift. And it just defies all logic that you would not be successful then. So when you've worked through anything that's holding you back from fully stepping into that. So like the thing that all of my clients say is like, I am, you know, magnetizing all these clients that are literally coming out of from nowhere and I don't understand what is happening. And I worked with another client who was a new business owner, like completely new. And usually it would take some time, you know, you hear that, you know, it's hard starting a business. It takes time before you can start like earning money in your business. Seriously, after I think she had started her business 3 months before working with me. And after a few weeks, she was fully booked, so fully booked that she had to close her calendar because she was so overwhelmed. And we channeled a program that was her, like her sole mission for like her gifts, what she was meant to share with the world, sold out. Channeled a group program. How many people? From where? Blah, blah, blah. Sold out. So from being brand new in business and not making any money and having no clients to having like a 12K launch. I mean, that's pretty damn good if you're a new business owner. Very short
incredible.
like learning curve. So this is really the way of surrendering to your divine mission and what it is that you're here to do. So I love speaking about these quantum tools. I can speak about them all day long, but yeah, that program was a really like we're at the end of the program right now and it's been absolutely magical. And it has really been a challenge for me just because I've had to like really surrender into it and channel it week by week as I was moving forward with it. And as it was Goddess Isis, I was like, yeah, it's going to be all this Egyptian energy and like I'm going to channel all of these Egyptian gods and goddesses. And it turned out it was nothing like that. It was Goddess Isis, but the guides that came through were all Hindu gods and goddesses. And I'm Indian myself.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. The most beautiful transformations and so much magic with guides that I've never even worked with before. So, you know, like just 2 hours before the session, okay, hey, who wants to step forward now? And then, you know, working with these beautiful energies that I've never worked before. And yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Gosh, I just love it. This is like a little snapshot of where we're heading, right? Like as civilization, this is the next evolution of how we're meant to exist here. We're just tapping into it now. We're just scratching the surface. And people like you who have been able to open your channels so purely and to be able to receive this guidance, it's such a powerful tool. It is mind-blowing. I have many friends in my life that can do this now. And I've gone from this isn't real, this is maybe one person in a million can do this, to now going, I'm seeing more people come online all the time. What's going on here? And they all say the same thing. And they all start just magnetizing all the things that they want. And everything seems to be flowing for them. And again, they all say the same thing. I'm just listening to the guidance and I'm following, I'm trusting and I'm surrendering. And so I totally understand you used to be in your masculine. I definitely still struggle with that a little bit. I know I want to have both parts. I don't want to, eradicate the masculine. But I definitely do find myself sometimes, and I've done channeling courses, as you know, I've practiced with a lot of these things and I've had experiences here and there, but I still definitely feel like I struggle when it comes to really opening my channel and really receiving and dropping into that. And then with consistency as well. And I wonder if that's a part of it. But I would just love, because we have this beautiful opportunity for someone like you who has been in both worlds. You've been in the corporate world, you've been a lawyer, you've been doing your thing, and now you've stepped over into a life of more feminine, more flow, and more allowance and abundance, basically, things flowing to you. And I love the lazy entrepreneur thing. I think that's the new like job title that everyone should be going for. It's fantastic. I don't like the grind, hustle,
Oh no,
be
we're not doing
online
that.
all the time. I can't deal with that. My goal is to be able to take, a month off social media and then maybe a month on and then maybe a month off. Because I like you, I like to just live sometimes and not have to talk about it or share anything. Like, it's fantastic. So, I mean, there's so many thousands of questions, but I guess let's start with, what do you do as a sort of ritual? Is it a meditation? Is it something that you do every day to tap in to have that really strong communication with your guides? And there's a couple of questions in here. And what is that feeling like? Because as you know, we've had this chat before where I'm like, Nina, people are telling me I'm channeling. They're telling me that I'm giving them amazing guidance and that I'm giving them the answers they've been waiting for. I've even made people cry going, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed to hear. And I'm sitting here going, well, I feel like that was just me talking. So can you tell me what your rituals are around channeling, around connecting to these beautiful guides that you have, and what it actually feels like? How can you discern the difference between your mind and divine guidance?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And before I answer that one, I just want to circle back a little bit to what you said, that like all of these channels are receiving guidance for themselves of what to do. Honestly, you do not need to be a channel to be able to tap into your intuition and to use quantum energetics, because that's really what it's about. It's about using energy rather than strategy to accomplish what it is that you want. So I'm just going to give a really small example of that. And that is like, for example, all the people that signed up for my program had been receiving, like I connect to them energetically. You do not need to be a channel for that. Connect to your people, because it's almost like the people that are meant to work with you, you have a soul tribe. You have a soul tribe, just like you, Sarah. You're a musician. There are people here that are meant to be, touched by your music. That impacted, your listeners are meant to be, they have a connection with you energetically. So you could essentially, without being a channel, energetically just connect to your soul tribe. What is it that you want to hear from me? What is it that may people need to hear? And like really tapping into the most you. For example, rather than having like this perfectly curated like content strategy where you have to show up in this way and that way, tap into your soul. Like, what can I do that is the most Sarah right now? Is it recording a podcast episode? Is it doing live on Instagram? And this is when it is tapping into your energy and following your highest excitement and flow, because that's what is magnetizing. And I think you're a great example of that as well. Always following your highest, what's the word I'm looking for? Highest
Joy.
Joy.
Yeah. Follow your
your highest
passion.
joy and excitement.
Yeah.
So just a little side note there, that there are energetic tools that you can work with, because I did connect with the
Thank
people
you.
that
That's
were meant
good
to
to
be in
know.
and you can ask your guides for support, even though you can't hear them, even though you can't see them. So I do recommend this to everyone, really. Like, connect with your spiritual team, because everyone has one. Everyone has a spiritual team. It's not just channels and psychic that have this entire team that is working with them. And even though you cannot connect with them maybe in the same way that I can, you can ask for certain, signs, like, okay, I want to connect. I need support with this thing. Help me out, because they're there ready to support you. But you need to ask for divine intervention, because they
I
respect your
forget
free
that.
will.
I forget that
Yes.
so much. And when I do remember to ask, and I ask for certain signs, or I know
Yeah.
what my number is, like
Yeah.
my number will be shown to me 50 times in a day as confirmation, or, whether
Exactly.
it's a white feather or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's the asking, right? That's
It
huge.
is the asking, because it's like the way that I see it, a lot of the times they're standing around just like waiting for you to ask. And they're like, well, we have this present for you that's standing outside your doorstep, but you're not opening the door.
Yeah.
So, like, of course, nothing's happening. And so this would be like, as an example, energetically connecting to the people that are meant to work with you. And the ones that did sign up for my program were like, you just showed up out of nowhere, like a random podcast episode. I don't even know how I got there, because I was listening to something else. And then I just heard you, and I had to listen to you over and over and over again. And I'm like, I need to work with her. Like, I hear people saying that they had dreams about me, or like they heard my name in a
Wow.
dream. Like, I call this quantum stalking, because this is literally how spirit helps me get my people. Or Goddess Isis shows up in their dream. For example, this program was channeled by Goddess Isis, so a lot of people felt that connection and like, ooh, I've been seeing this woman with like wings, and like, who is she? I'm like, well, it's her. So that is like a way to energetically like stalk your people.
5D marketing. Yes.
Yes, 100%. Because it's not quantum stalking in that negative way that I just said it. It's like what it is that I have to offer is something that someone else is here to receive. So it is just that energetic connection for them to find me. But yeah, so really long side note there. But back to your question, how people can start tapping into their own abilities and how they can
And how does it feel for you? That's what I'm really curious about. Like, are you clairvoyant? I keep forgetting. Or are you like, what is the experience like for you as well? And then maybe let's go into, because it's different for everyone, right? But I want to know the difference between you going, oh, that's not my voice. Oh, I know that that's not my voice. What is that for you? What is that experience
Okay,
like?
I'll start with that one. So just a really quick recap about psychic senses. We do all have, like, we're all psychic. We all have these, like, ways that we can connect with our intuition, with higher guidance. And the ways that this information can come through is through our senses. So you can either be clairvoyant, clear seeing, clairsentient, clear feeling, clairaudient, clear hearing, or claircognizant, which is just a knowing. And then there are some other like smaller senses that are not as common. So these are like the main psychic senses. And then there are also ways to connect, which is, for example, one of the ways that I can channel, which is in trance. And this means going into an altered state of consciousness. It's not as dramatic as it sounds. It is a very light trance state, which is the same state as hypnosis. So a light theta state, brainwave state. And when that happens, it is that you truly are stepping to the side and surrendering and allowing, asking and allowing spirit to step in and speak through you. And then there's also the way that I prefer to channel, which is in a light trance state. And that is, so I'm not like deep in trance and like that I don't remember what I'm saying when I come back. It is that I'm in a light trance state. So I have my eyes open and I am just talking, but I don't know what is coming through. So the difference would be like when I first opened to my psychic abilities, I was very clairaudient. So it was clear hearing, that I could hear everything word for word very, very clearly. So the way that I would channel before was like I would listen and then I would speak. I would listen and then I would speak.
And is that your voice or is it a different voice from yours? Is it male? Is it a deeper tone? Or is it your voice but you know it's not you? It's not coming from you?
Great question, and a very important one as well, because I think that's going to segue into what it is that you want me to talk about in just a moment. Psychic. So the way that it showed up for me was really, 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 really loud. It was like an in your face. You cannot mistake this for anything else. It was bam, because the day that I opened up, like I felt this energy on the crown of my head, like this really, really, really strong energy that freaked me out. And then I just said out loud, "Who's there?" And then it was like, it was like someone was holding a megaphone, to my head, to my ear and going, "Hello." And it was like very dramatic, like it was a very loud masculine voice. And in this case, it was Babaji. And Babaji is, if you want to know more about this dude, who is the coolest guy ever, listen to the first interview on this podcast.
Legend.
But so this really loud masculine voice with an Indian accent. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And it was really loud. Obviously, it was not in my head, it was outside of me. So it wasn't that I was hearing, because you can have internal hearing and external hearing. This is also like pretty different. Either you can hear an internal sound or voice, or you hear it externally. And I was hearing it as if he was speaking to me. And the way that he was speaking to me, it was really, really, really loud and clear for months. But then one day it went kind of not silent, but it's like someone, drew the volume down. And I was like, where'd you go? Where's the megaphone? Like, where's your loud voice? And I was starting to freak out because I thought it was going away. So I actually went to see a medium who was very clairvoyant. So this was actually pretty funny because I go to her and I'm like, I think I'm losing my abilities, and like, can you check on this? And I didn't tell her anything about my guide that I was channeling at the time. So she has a look. She's like, well, he's standing right there. And she's describing him, like what he's dressed in, and he's got white clothes, and he's got long hair, and he's got like a turban. And she even described his personality. And it's like, and we're sitting there, and it felt like such a freak show. Like she's sitting there, we have my imaginary friend standing between us. She can see him, I can hear him. She can't hear him, and I can't see him. You know, it's so funny. And she's like, no, the reason why you're not hearing him, you know, that loud anymore is because you don't need to. Because you had such a thick head that he would have never been able to penetrate with his voice if it wasn't that loud. Because usually what happened, this is just like my experience, you know, working with other people that have, you know, their psychic abilities coming online, is it's not that bam in your face kind of experience like I had. Usually it's a gradual experience that you're starting to be like, oh, I'm starting to hear a voice, or I hear a word, or like, it wasn't like 10-hour conversation like I was having. That is quite unusual, to be honest.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What I understood was like, because if you would picture it as, you know, we're human, we exist in this 3-dimensional plane that is very dense, and we want to connect to spirit, who is like 5th dimension and above, like higher dimensions. So obviously there is a frequency shift that is needed. So it's kind of like we're down here on planet Earth, and we want to connect here. So we need to raise our vibration so we can actually become an energetic match to connect to spirit, to higher dimensions. And the more that we, you know, connect with our guides and channel, like our vibration naturally increases. We become more high vibrational beings. So then our vibration becomes more similar to their vibration. And then it doesn't need to be as loud in your face. And then it's all about, you know, trusting and surrendering, because then, as his exact words, he's like, I don't need all the drama, like it's just there, you know, I don't need to come and do like this dance and like convince you that I'm here.
I am here, Nina. It is me again. So is that sort of, does that mean that when you meditate more regularly, because you are raising your vibration more regularly, it is becoming a new base minimum that is a lot higher than you've been working at? So it's sort of like compounding.
That's a great question, because honestly, you know, full disclosure, I do not meditate for like hours a day.
I
Like,
knew you were going to say that. It's like the worst thing you can say.
Meditation is absolutely good. Like, do not follow my like rules. Like, there are no rules. Literally no rules. I just want to debunk the myth, because like this is something that I support with my clients with as well, that we activate their spiritual gifts, their psychic abilities, and like before we even get there, everyone's obviously super excited and wants to know, okay, so like what will I need to do? Do I need to do like meditations, and do I need to do like Kundalini yoga? And I'm like, no. You don't need all of that, you know, unless you want to, of course, because everything that raises your vibration, essentially, nothing should be a chore. Nothing should be a chore. If you want to meditate, meditate. If you don't want to meditate, don't do it, you know? And another practice that I feel is really impactful is, and you don't need to be psychic to do this, but you can just connect with your own, you know, soul, your own sense, and just receive some kind of knowing, or like any messages that you can receive. Connecting with your soul, as everyone's really interested in connecting with like higher dimensions and guides and like receiving all this guidance, but it's equally as important, if not more important, to connect with your own soul. And something that I find to be a really powerful question is to ask, you know, connect with your soul, even though you're not able to hear anything or see anything. Hey, soul. And just, you know, focus on that connection. Oh, what does this energy feel like? What does my soul's energy feel like? And asking, soul, what can I do to rate, like, what practice can I do? What is it that I can do? How do you like to operate in the world? Like, what is it that you enjoy to do that can raise my vibration so that I can fully embody you in this 3-dimensional plane? So, for example, my soul always wants me to dance, because that really gets me into this just amazingness, this beautiful energy. And some of the times I'm just not feeling it, but I know that that is the way that I connect with my spirit. So for example, if your soul says, I like to be out in nature, this is how you raise your frequency to my frequency. So this is really practices that you can do that are specific for your soul. So rather than giving you a 10-step, you need to do this and this and this and this, what is it that how does your soul want to operate in this world? And when you are doing the vibe practices that come directly from your soul, this is how you embody your higher self right now. So rather than joining the 5 a.m. club and waking up at 5 a.m. and doing all these sorry bullshit things that
Yeah, yeah.
are, from the logical mind of like other people are doing this and other successful people are doing this. No, your soul has a template for success, for joy, abundance, like all of those things. Like we are all naturally high vibrational beings. I want to say that. So it's really not about how can I
Yes.
focus on raising my vibration. It is how can I be the most of me and, clear out all the distortions of my truth, because that's how you become high vibrational. So if you have all of these distortions of truth and these untruths happening, that brings your vibration down. So that's kind of like a bit backwards. So it's not how can I raise my vibration, it's how can I clear out my distortions of truth and tap into the most authentic version of me.
Okay, we need to like somehow put that in caps fucking lock. I mean, bold, whatever. Like, make that big, because what you just said is everything. And the reason I was like, that's the worst thing you could say when you say don't meditate is like, I'm taking the piss, because I obviously fell into all of the 5 a.m. club and, I've got to meditate for this many hours a day and this and this. And guess what? The best I ever feel is, like you said, when I'm in nature. And I go into trance states when I'm in nature. I can stare at the sun streaming through leaves for hours and be transported and I can feel my vibration rising. And it's the same when I make music. It's like I'm not even on the ground anymore. I'm floating. So that is such a huge, beautiful piece of advice for everyone. I hope everyone heard the shit out of that, because don't feel like you have to go and meditate all the time, because like Nina said, we are here. We are joyous beings. We are high vibrational beings. We're here to experience joy, to expand, to grow, to learn. But joy is such a huge part of what we're here to experience. And when you think about all of the things that you're seeking, it's usually because you believe that when you get those things, you're going to experience joy. So how about we just focus on getting to the joy and then watch yourself become a magnet for all of these other things? So that is just beautiful advice. I can't like caps lock and bold that enough.
It's
Thank
so
you.
important and so overlooked, I guess, because another thing I want to say, like this is the way that I work, like with my clients, we tap in to your higher self, the version of you that's already created, your dream business, your dream life, your dream relationship, whatever it is. And they are existing in an alternative reality. I mean, it already exists in the quantum realm and is already done. But that version of you has a different set of beliefs, behaviors, a way of showing up in the world, and a different vibration and frequency. And the thing is with vibration and frequency, it's all here. So it really is a game. It's like, what frequency do I want to embody right now? And calling in that frequency. So it really is about, it's like a video game. I'm not kidding. Like this is really the way it gets to be. And the key to collapsing timelines, because there are multiple timelines, and the timeline that you exist on right now might not be the one that the version of you that has created all of these amazing things is currently on right now. So what do we do to bridge the gap between the version of you right now and the version of you that has already created that? It is that we are tapping into, rather than, joining the 5 a.m. club and doing all these things, it is, what is her vibration and frequency? What is this person doing? How do they show up in the world? What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? What does this person believe about themselves? And what it is about the vibration and frequency specifically are the specific emotions that they are feeling on a daily basis. And that is how can you tap into that right now? Because when you are tapping in to the same vibration and frequency as future you, that is essentially what is collapsing time in the fastest way possible. Of course, that is a very short version of it, but your vibrational frequency and tapping into those emotional states is something that you can do right now, because the version of you that is over there, that's super abundant, that is, creating all of the success in their business and has, opened the floodgates of abundance and has money coming in. If you're not feeling abundant right now, it's kind of like, you're chasing this thing that's in front of you, but it's just getting further and further away the more that you chase it, because how can you feel abundant right now? And a lot of people think, I know this because this is my human could not comprehend this before I opened up to all of this. I was like, okay, I understand all of this on a intellectual level, but how would someone, for example, who is flat broke, who wants to become abundant, their question is usually, but how do I possibly tap into that now? And the thing is, abundance is a frequency and a vibration. You don't have to be a 6-figure business owner to be abundant. Like, what is abundance? For me, for example, an abundance, if you're in a space where you are not able to take yourself out to really expensive restaurants and eat at these, Michelin star places, can you cook yourself an amazing 5-course dinner at home? And just, that is just so pleasurable to all of your senses. That is abundance, So it doesn't need to be, what makes me feel abundant? Maybe you're dreaming of, traveling the world and working in these gorgeous locations. Can you go work at a gorgeous hotel close to where you live and sit there and just soak in the energy of what it feels like to sit in a space that feels luxurious, that feels expansive, and like, ooh,
taste testing.
Because then it's like, okay, future me maybe has, the best suite in this place, but I'm sitting here working, and that's kind of getting a feel for that energy of future you. So this is kind of how you start to play with energies and frequencies. It's all really fun, So I hope that answers your question. I kind of like circled away from the question that you asked me to begin with.
I love it.
But back to your question then about like the senses. So when it opened up for me, it was clear hearing. And then what happened is your way of tuning in and receiving information, it can shift and change. And the key here is not to freak out when something kind of like goes away. Because for me, it was like, why am I not hearing that clearly? And the reason why I wasn't hearing that clearly after, like, I think this was like about a year later when I took a channeling course. And then it was because my clear cognizance was coming online, my clear knowing. And then it was like, oh, okay, so something else had to quiet down a little bit so I could focus on something else, because otherwise, I mean, we're humans and we get comfortable, and I would be comfortable just channeling in the same way. So they had to, hold my ears so that I couldn't hear anything, so that I could be open to like, okay, maybe it wants to come through a different way. And that was through the clear knowing. So that it's kind of hard to describe, but it just flows through. You just know. When you know something with absolute certainty, and it's just there. It just is. And I do want to say that this is the trickiest sense to start to trust.
I was about to say that, because that's what I have. And I'm constantly told, this is what you have, this is your gift. And that's why I struggle so much, because I'm like, okay, I feel like I know these things, but like, is that true knowing, or am I just making things up? It's so tricky. Yeah.
It is. And the reason for that is like, okay, obviously you're hearing something. You're hearing externally or internally, but in some way you are hearing. And it's tricky with the hearing as well, because either it could be someone else's voice or it is your own voice, because that's what mine kind of shifted into. Not my own voice, but it sounded like it was within me. And I'm like, I don't know. But now, like, of course, I've been doing this for quite some time, so I've become attuned to the different, subtleties in channeling. And when it is the clear knowing, it can be like your own thoughts. So the difference between Sarah walking out in nature and receiving a quote-unquote download is that a download that is just coming from a creative idea. Like, that is a download, but where is it coming from? Because we don't know. We just say it that we receive something that is a knowing. And it could be similar to our own thoughts, and that's what makes it the trickiest. But the simple answer to your question, which I know is not maybe what you would want to hear, but it really is a question of trusting and surrendering. Because when you are receiving guidance, like step number 1, let's put it this way. Step number 1 is like, it needs to be done with playfulness and fun. And I feel that so many courses are missing out on this very, very important piece to the puzzle. They're just like, be super serious and do like all of these meditations and sit down and be all like, hello, spirit, I would like to speak to you. Like, no. It's like, how can you tap into the energy of childlike wonder? Yes. Being like, super excited. I want to connect to my guides. I can't wait to see who's going to come through. Let's see what happens. There's no expectation. There's excitement, yeah? But when you're serious, you're expecting something to happen. Okay, I've done this 2-hour practice and something better come through. Right?
And then you start doubting and fearing and like thinking you can't do it, and then all this pressure. Oh my gosh.
And a child is curious. and playful and just excited to see what, there's no pressure, there's no expectation. So I would say that the best way to get into that vibrational frequency is play. So if this is the advice that I give to a lot of my clients that are very much in their heads, get into your body, do something playful, have a dance party in your room, do something that puts you into that state of playfulness and childlike wonder. And really, like, when you are trying to connect to higher intelligence or whatever it is that you would like to connect to, really doing that from a place of curiosity. Like, what can happen now? Like, I'm just gonna play with it. And that is the vibration that you connect to spirit with. It's not seriousness, because contrary to popular belief, they are not all like super serious dudes and dudettes that are just up there and like, they are really fun, they are really playful, and that is the energy and frequency. It is of joy, of fun, of playfulness. So when we tap into that, then we're a lot closer to it. So when we're being all serious, that's kind of actually putting us in a completely different state. So step number one, if this is something that you might struggle with, do something that puts you into the state of joy, playfulness, curiosity. Step number two, it could be a really good way to visualize. I feel that this is actually quite helpful. Like visualizing that there's a box in front of you and that you're putting your brain into the box and saying goodbye, we're not here right now. And another way, which is just even simpler, it's just like dropping from your headspace to your heart and focus on, tapping into your heart, connecting with your heart, because you can't be in your head and your body at the same time. It's impossible. So when you're out of your head and dropping into your body, this is what can really get that conscious mind that's, you're not doing this right, or like, we're making this up, because that is mental chitter chatter that will be there in the beginning, no doubt about it. For me, it wasn't like that, but for most people it is. It's subtle, and it starts to, the more that you start to trust it, the more that you will open the floodgates to your own channel. Because if we're like, no, like I'm making it up and like blah, blah, we're creating resistance. And when you're creating resistance, it's running like uphill all of the time. Because you're running and there's someone saying you're not doing it right, it's not right, blah, 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 we're holding you back. So where are you creating resistance? This is a good question to ask yourself. Where are you creating the resistance? And the thing is, we also have these preconceived notions of how it's meant to come through. Because I think that I mentioned this before I opened up, there's so much emphasis put on clairvoyance, like, I see things, and like I thought it would be something very dramatic that would appear in front of me and be like, hello, and like I would see it as like in the movies. It is not, that is not the case. This is actually my least strongest sense. So I am claircognizant first and foremost. Now it's shifted. Claircognizant, clairaudience, clairsentient, that I can feel, but it's not the strongest one. And then clairvoyance is actually my last, or my least strongest sense. And I can sometimes see, but so when I'm channeling, sometimes I can say I see, but I'm not actually seeing, but I know what I'm seeing. So I'm not seeing a vision of Sarah and her inner child just, doing all of these things in a childhood memory, but I know that I'm seeing it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Cognizance
is creating kind of an internal image that's not actually an image. Yeah.
That's how I see, in quotes. That's exactly it. And it's hard to describe. I just quickly want to tap onto something. So that's a beautiful 3-step process, to be honest. Getting into a more playful state, putting your brain in a box, and then going into your heart space. But I love that you said, I've never heard it said that way, and it's just like set off like a light bulb in my mind. When you're in your body, when you're in your heart space, you can't be in your head at the same time. It's like you can't hold a positive and a negative thought at the same time. I never thought of it that way. So I constantly was sort of like trying to bring my consciousness into my heart space and then thinking with my mind, is it in my heart space? What does it feel like when it's in your heart space? And like all these questions come up. So it definitely wasn't. So that's a beautiful one. Oh my gosh.
It is. I'm trying to think of other ways that I would. So the thing is, it's different for everyone. So I would say the best way would be to know what is your main sense. And this might not always be what we think it is either. And I think there's some free, quizzes out there that you can test, your most dominant sense. And my tip would be to focus on that specific sense. So a way that I actually, this was really funny because this was like the day before I opened up to my psychic abilities, or 2 days. I'd watched like a free masterclass with a psychic because I really wanted to open up. I was like, I really wanted to do it. I was doing all of these things and like nothing was working. And I did not trust myself at all because I don't do oracle cards anymore, but I used to. And I would do the cards, but I wouldn't trust myself to sit and actually interpret them. I would use the book because I didn't trust. And then it would turn out that it would be the same as my intuition. But yeah, I was very dependent on that. So I did this masterclass, and this medium is talking about different ways. And then I got I tried out a practice where I asked a friend to send me a picture of someone I did not know. And then I would tap into it, because then there's no place for doubt, because you have no information about this person. You know nothing, and it's just a game. So I was such a perfectionist that would never let myself, even try if I didn't know how to do it perfectly. So I would look at this picture, because then I understood, okay, I'm claircognizant. So I look at this picture and I'm like, what do I know about this person? I don't know anything. How am I supposed to know this? But then when I put that aside and was like, okay, I get to play now. And I tuned into the energy of this photograph. And I'm like, I know this I got so much information about this person. And then I texted my friend, and she was like, that was spot on. And I thought, maybe I was lucky. Send another one. So I was doing this fun game, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it turns out that I have pretty good intuition. But honestly, how often would you even do that? Like, it's nothing that you would think about, that let me try this out and see what happens. So it was literally because I had gotten this practice and was going to play around with it, and allowed myself to play around with it, because the truth is, it's going to be easier to get information about other people than it is for yourself. Because I mean, when it comes to guidance for ourselves, there's so much involved. We have expectations. We want, we don't know if is it wishful thinking? Like, when I get a message, is it because I want to believe this, or is this actually truth? So yeah, that can be quite tricky, but the key is really to experiment and have fun. For example, I know like certain people that connect really well in the astral realm, so in the dream space. So a good tip would be like setting your intentions and writing down what you would like to receive guidance on, and set the intention that you will receive it in the dream space. So then as you wake up, having that journal really close to your bed, and then just free writing, and this needs to be done within the first minutes of waking up, when you're still in that theta state, and just free writing. And then more often than not, you will see that you have the answer to your question. So this could either be received in the dream state, or just in that state that you set the intention at night. And then in that state, when you wake up in the morning, and then you just free write. And then you will see that you have the answer to the question. And that brings us into something similar, which is called automatic writing, which I know that you've tried yourself. And this is essentially channeling through writing. So this is like calling in your guides, and it's not like the pen is going to move for you. It can be, some people describe it that way, but it's really like being in a flow state, and it is quite subtle. It is being in a flow state, and you're writing, but you don't really know what you're writing. And
you don't question it.
Right. And then when you read back to it, like, it could sound, when I used to automatic write, it was very, poetic and beautiful. And I'm like, I could have never written this. So that is really a clear sign that you are actually channeling and receiving guidance. And I mean, it's really different for everyone. Some people in the beginning, it's just words. It's like trust. It's like be out in nature. And then we want it to be more profound. Because I've worked with like students that want to open up their channeling abilities, and they're like, but the messages I receive are so lame. It's like, drink water. It's like, do this. And then I'm like, well, you kind of need to start somewhere, because these are like very generic messages that might not be like groundbreaking, but this is kind of how it is in the beginning. It was very different for me, but for most people it is that it's very supportive, it's very loving, and the more that you trust, the more that it starts to come through. So for example, Sarah, if you would receive guidance on something, some action step to take, but you are questioning it, that makes no sense, I'm not going to do it, then you're kind of blocking yourself off to receiving more. Because what trust and surrender really is like, okay, that makes no sense at all. It feels scary to me, but it feels good at the same time. It feels expansive. I will do this. I will go. I will step off the cliff knowing that there is a safety net to catch me. My spiritual team that's got my back. I'm going to do it. This is really where you start to see the evidence in the world. Like when you do the thing, and like circling back to what we spoke about in the beginning, like my entire business is created around the guidance that I get. It is co-created with my guides, with my soul. And a lot of the things that I do generate the results for me. So it really is, I mean, the old Nina would have never, ever done these things that I'm doing now. Never. And if I would have received all of this and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to trust it. I mean, can you imagine what a completely different timeline I would be on right now?
Honestly. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Well, I mean, thank you so much. You've given us so many different tips, and people can definitely at least get started. And I think that's the key. I think
definitely
you've given them a wealth of like a tool belt of things that they can start with, and
I have
plenty of incentive. Oh, one more. Okay. And then I've got something that I would like to ask of you.
Yeah. So this was essentially focusing on like a couple of the other senses. If you're a feely person, so this would be because your question was like, what does it feel like? And for the feelers out there, a really good practice is like sitting and actually in like meditation and focusing on what your own energy feels like. And when you're doing that and then calling in the support of your spiritual guides and asking to feel their energy, you're going to feel a shift in energy. It's going to feel very, very different in your body. So even though you're maybe not able to see them or hear them or receive messages, this starts to build trust that I do have the presence of my spiritual team here. I can feel them. I can feel certain sensations in my body. I feel certain shifts in temperature, heart flutters, like whatever it is. This is also a really good way to practice being in your own energy and feeling what it feels like when your guides come in. So that is not an entirely easy question to answer, like what it feels like, because it's so natural. But the way that I would say that it is for me is that it is just a state of, it is playfulness, it is fun, it is surrender, and it is just, it is really a state of vibration and just a state of flow. And sometimes you can feel it, like that there's a lot of energy flowing through you, but honestly, the more that you do it, the more subtle it becomes. It's just a part of you, it just is. So it doesn't need to be, like it becomes second nature to you, so you don't need to feel that dramatic, shift when it's actually happening. So it can be, quite undramatic as well. It is experimentation, fun, play, trust, and surrender.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, love. I really appreciate that, and I know the listeners who are starting to get curious about this or have maybe already started trying but perhaps have been going down the little bit too serious route like I did when I first started. That is absolute gold. There's so much in there for them to touch onto. So I'm wondering, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good.
I would love to ask, if you are up for it, if we could potentially get you to channel a little bit for us. And obviously I'm open to anyone who wants to come through, whether it's Goddess Isis or Babaji or anyone else, any of your guides, even if it's your higher self. But I would just love to communicate through you, if that's an option. And it's up to you. Would it be best if I ask questions, or would it be best if I just sort of sit back and receive whatever is meant to come through?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have not channeled in this way before, so it's going to be a first for me. Do we have a specific theme that we would like to chat about, just so that I can, put that up there? See whoever catches on.
If this is too broad, let me know. But I would love to know what we as humans should be focusing on right now. What should be our main focus at this specific time in humanity, and maybe touching on to what this time in humanity is all about. Like, why is it so dramatically different than 5 years ago, than 10 years ago? Like, there's just so much change and so many people coming online, waking up to their abilities, waking up to their spiritual nature. So maybe if they want to give us a little bit of insight into why it is that we chose to come here at this time. What's so special about now? What's going on? And what should we focus on?
Okay, amazing.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far and getting a lot of value out of it. I'd love to ask you to take just a couple of seconds to rate and subscribe to this channel. Once you do that, take a screenshot, let me see that subscribe button hit and the rating. DM that to me on Instagram at Truejectory, one word, and I have a gift for you. I'm going to send you a link that's going to lead you to some digital artwork. These are pieces that are all original photography. I've gone out in nature and taken some beautiful shots. I've got some quotes over the top. I've got some affirmations. And these are pieces that you can blow up to any size that you wish and hang them around your home or your office. And they're going to keep you in a positive mental headspace at all times. Whenever you look at them, they're really calming, beautiful pieces. So thank you so much in advance for rating and subscribing. I really appreciate your support. It's going to help us get these messages out to a larger audience. And I want this space to be somewhere that you can come every single week to be supported, to be motivated, to be inspired, to be reminded that you can create the life that you choose. And all of the beautiful guests that I have on every week are examples of just that. So thank you in advance. I've got so much love for you. Stay true, and I'll see you soon.
They're like, we're here already. It's like they want to come in. So do I not need to do anything? No. Okay. All right. Just take a couple of deep breaths. Yes, hello, dear one. We are very pleased to connect with you today and very excited to speak with you through this medium on a podcast. So yes, thank you for having us. We are very excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming through. How can we know, or how can we do our best to be aligned with our highest possible timeline for our best possible future? Is there anything that we can do to make sure that we are definitely heading down that trajectory that we want?
Yes, dear one, this is a very important question, and what it boils down to in its essence is living a life that is in alignment with your soul. So essentially, there is a version of you, your most ascended self. This is your higher self, your highest self. And there is a specific timeline that your soul chose before incarnating in this world. So there is a specific destiny that is aligned for you, if you will. And as a human, you do have free will to choose. Yes, you do have free will, but there is one timeline that is destined for you. A timeline where you are fulfilling your soul's mission, where you are tapped into the truest essence of who you are, where you are serving humanity with your unique gifts, and where you are living a life of joy, of abundance, of flow. And this is true soul alignment. Yes, this is where you experience the highest levels of flow, inspiration, and magic on your path. So it is very important for you to tap into what it is that who you truly are at your core and what you are here to do with this in this world. And it's not so much about your doingness and what it is that you are here to do, but it is about tapping into the most authentic expression of who you are. And that is deconditioning, yes, from the matrix programming. It is deconditioning to everything that you are not and stepping into who you truly are. And this is shedding all the limitations, the preconceived notions that you have about yourself or that society wants you to be. Everything that you have learned about what it is to be a human in this world, put that aside. It is no longer relevant to where you are going, yes? So it is time to shed that baggage, because that baggage is what is holding you back from truly ascending into what it is that your soul truly desires to experience in this lifetime. So does this answer your question, dear one?
It does, yes, thank you. What's a good way for us to connect with our inner child?
Yeah, so this is a very important connection, and connecting with your inner child, as she is your gatekeeper to your next level. So it is important to have a connection and check in with your inner child to see if she does feel safe in expanding into the next level. And if she is not, it's important to see her, to communicate with her, to give her whatever it is that she needs to step into the next level together, so that you can join hands and step into that next level without any resistance. And it is also important to connect to your inner child and tap into the frequency of play. So as your channel, Nina, was a very serious child, she did not tap into the frequency of play very often. So what she is essentially doing right now is tapping into the energy and frequency of the playfulness of her inner child that did not really allow herself to play. So this is a very important thing to do in your life, because this is essentially raising your vibration and tapping you into the highest levels of joy, of creativity, of love, of childlike wonder, and of abundance. And this is very important for you to do as humans at this point in time, because you are all so very serious all so very serious and taking life so seriously, when it is all a fun game. And when you can start to see it as a fun video game, as your channel likes to say, this is when things really start to shift for you, and you can start experiencing more magic in everyday life. Because when you are seeing that as a game, whatever it is that is going on in this 3D matrix that you are seeing reflected back to you, you have the remote control in your hands. If you don't like the channel, you can change it. So what if you're not your current experience, if it is not something that is aligned with you, can you simply change the channel? Can you simply change the vibration and the frequency that you are currently surfing on, so to speak, and change your entire reality? It gets to be that simple, but you humans are you humans are complicating it way too much and making it more, putting it on a pedestal, if you will, that you need to do all of these manifestation practices, and you need to reprogram your conscious mind by saying affirmations so many times in a day. This is not how it is meant to be. It is meant to be a fun game, and it's not meant to be a chore. Does this make sense to you? As we know,
Yes.
that many people are asking these questions right now, and this is why we are tapping into these replies for you, that it is simply tapping into the game of your reality and creating it, because you do in fact hold the key. And when you become the master of your vibration and know how to change the channel, so to speak, there will never be anything that will stand in your way, because you are truly limitless. And why is it that you believe that you are limited in the first place, dear ones? We do not know, but we believe that this 3D matrix programming has made you all feel that it needs to be hard, that it needs to be serious, that it needs to be a struggle. And what if you could just put that struggle down? What happens then? What happens if you let go of that? How could life be instead? Is this making sense to you?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll try a light question, because I can tend to go quite heavy, and I appreciate you being here. Can you explain to me the difference, because I've heard multiple different explanations of soulmate and twin flames. What are they? How are they different? Are they different? And what is so important about us connecting with these counterparts?
This is a very important question that you are asking, dear one. And as it is in this lifetime, you have certain soul contracts with certain people. And the way that it is orchestrated in this reality is that you have decided before incarnating on this planet to learn certain life lessons. So these are lessons that you may not have mastered previously in your previous lifetimes. So say, for example, that in a previous life you have not learned to love yourself. And then at the end of that lifetime, where you are reviewing your life, what did I do? What did I experience? And you realize, I did not learn how to love myself. Then you are bringing this in as a life lesson into your next incarnation, yes? And when you are doing this, essentially what you are doing is that you are orchestrating your experience that you will have once you reach planet Earth. So if you have a life lesson to learn to love yourself, it is not that it is a cruel world or that bad things happen to you, but what will happen is that you will meet a series of karmic relationships, if you will, because this is the karma that was not resolved in a past lifetime. This is still a life lesson that you are meant to learn, you see. And if you are meant to learn to love yourself, then yes, you will have a string of relationships potentially, if you do not learn it right off the bat, so to speak, that will mirror back to you exactly what it is that you are meant to learn. So having relationships where you are not treated well, where you are not valued, where you are not seen, that are mirroring back to you the lack of self-love that you have within you, because essentially it is a hologram. This is what your inner world is, and this is what is being projected to you in your outer world. So as long as you are not learning the lesson, so to speak, it will come back in different shapes and different forms. So in this sense, you are also the creator of your own life. It is essential to ask yourself, when you are not experiencing ideal circumstances in your life, rather than dropping into victimhood of how is this happening to me, how is this happening for me, because there is a lesson, there is a purpose for everything. Nothing is random, you see. So when you are asking yourself, what is it that I need to learn, what is this relationship showing me, this is where your gold is, dear one, because this is where you are learning life lessons and changing the trajectory of your life. So when is it that you've actually actually and truly and completely learn the life lesson, this is when you will put an end to a series of events, a timeline, if you will, where you would have attracted one after the other of the type of person that would mirror back to you exactly how little you value yourself, or how little you love yourself, or how unlovable you are. So once it is that you truly and completely decide that this is not a reality that I am subscribing to anymore, and actually learn the lesson fully and completely of loving yourself, this is what is actually causing the other timeline to disappear completely, because it is no longer a part of your path. So this is the nature of a karmic relationship, which is here to teach you a lesson. And the nature of these relationships are that they can in fact be hard. They are not of your highest alignment. They are not here to last for a lifetime, and this can be painful for some humans to understand. But I do love this person so very deeply. How can it not be meant for me? Yes, some people are meant to be here to serve a certain purpose. Some are here to meant to be here for a lifetime. And it is all divinely orchestrated for you. So there is a number of differences between these different spiritual connections that you have with people. With the karmic ones, it may feel like a sense of deja vu. Have we done this before? I know you. And it is a sense of feeling at home. So this is often what is so painful, because these karmic relationships come with a lot of pain. They come with a lot of hardship, but it is important for your human to go through these experiences to learn exactly what you are, which is pure unconditional love. And it is returning to love and going through the experiences that are mirroring back the distortions that you have around love. Does this make sense?
Yes. So once you do actually take in and integrate the lesson, then you will stop having those same sorts of relationships,
yes,
filtering into your reality.
Yes. And it is important to know that these relationships are hard. And it is important to look at the nature of this connection. Is it teaching you something? And it is not only karmic lessons that are here to teach you a lesson. So there are very many different types of soul connections that you can experience as a human. And some of them, for example, are soulmate connections. These are very soul-aligned relationships. Some of them are not meant to be lifelong. Some of them are supposed to be right here, right now, but not necessarily to last a lifetime. So it may be that you have soul connections with someone and you are meant to come together, to have children together, to become parents together. You have a similar purpose in this lifetime, but the relationship is not necessarily a long-lasting one that is meant for a lifetime. So it is important for you to understand that there are very many different types of soul connections. The soulmate ones, you have very many soulmates. There is not just one. It is not a one and done thing that you find the one. And we would like to say this, that there is no concept of the one perfect person that is there for you. There are many. So it is simply understanding that every soul relationship has a different contract. So they are here to mirror certain things and show you certain things. Some are meant for a lot of spiritual growth. Some are meant for that deep companionship. They all have a very different flavor, if you will. And then there are divine life partners, dear ones. So a divine life partner is the one that truly has the potential of being a lifelong connection, if that is what you desire to experience in this lifetime. A partner who will stand by you, will support you, and will be there for you in your own soul expansion. So this is truly a partner that will support you on your soul aligned path as well, that can evolve and grow with you. And this is the most beautiful connection to look for if this is what it is that you are desiring, because what we are seeing with many humans is that they are desiring to meet their twin flame. And this is a connection that is also quite karmic in nature, but we would like to debunk the myth that this is the second part of your soul and that you are only half a human until you have met the other half that will completely complete you. No, this is a complete distortion of what the twin flame is about. And essentially this connection is a hard one. It is filled with, let me see, tapping in. I lost my connection. Hold on a sec. They're laughing at me that I did not lose it. Yes, dear one, on the topic of twin flames, these are essentially relationships that are not exactly a path of ease and flow. These are usually filled with hardships where there is a lot of personal growth, a lot of inner traumas that are coming to the surface, that are meant to be seen, that are meant to be felt, that are meant to be processed. And this is essentially like looking in a mirror and seeing back what it is exactly that you need to work on for your own personal growth and expansion. And these can be gut-wrenching experiences for you on planet Earth, but these are not meant to be lifelong connections. These are connections that are meant to crack you open, so to speak, and propel you forward on your own healing and expansion path. But we would like to speak about that distortion, that these are the ones that are your life partners. You are the one, so to speak, because it is simply not so. And yes, these are the different types of connections that are available to you in this reality. And we would also like to say that it is important to come back to your own truth and what it is that you desire to create for yourself in this lifetime. What kind of relationship is it that you desire to call in? Because as you know, you are the creator of your own reality. So if there is something that you are experiencing in your outer reality, that you are meeting a string of people that are treating you in a certain way, it is important to look within and see what it is within you that is creating this experience. And learning how to navigate relationships by your own inner world. So it is also a path of deep healing as well. So seeing your relationships as a great portal for expansion as well, because they are here to teach you. You are here to learn and grow and expand and not stagnate and become comfortable.
Thank you. There's a lot of wisdom in there. Is there anyone in particular I am speaking to, or am I speaking to Nina's team, Nina's collective?
We are the Arcturian Council of Lights, and we are very pleased to step forward today as we were very excited to speak about this topic, knowing that there were very many different questions that would be asked, and we are very pleased to be here.
I am very grateful to speak with you as well. I remember the Arcturian Council was coming through a channel via a YouTube channel when I first started to wake up, and it was a lot of your guidance and wisdom that helped me to understand this reality a lot better. So I appreciate your time. Could I perhaps ask one last question?
Absolutely, dear one.
I'd like to know about life reviews. You tapped onto it briefly before, I believe. What is the purpose of a life review, and what is that experience like for a human who's just crossed over into the other side? What is the other side?
This is a very interesting question that you ask. And if you have heard about these experiences on your planet, about people having a near-death experience, they say it as if they see their life flash before their very eyes. And this is, in fact, what it is. So when it is that it is time for you to leave this planet, what it is that happens is that you are viewing your life. You are viewing everything that has happened. So this is literally seeing your life flash before your very eyes, and you get to reflect on what it is, what life it was that you lived. What did I do? Who did I love? What did I experience? What did I not get to experience? What did I not learn? What is it that I still need to learn? So this is essentially a life review that every human that leaves this incarnation from this planet is doing. And this is the review that will essentially lay the groundwork, so to speak, for deciding on what the next incarnation will be all about, or what life lessons there are to learn. Because you will then come here with spiritual amnesia, forgetting that you are part of Source. And you will essentially be in this school of life and learning, and going through different experiences and working through different karmic imprints, not only from yourself, but your ancestral lineage. Because what is also decided before incarnating on this planet is actually the family that you will be born into. So yes, you have in fact chosen your parents. So if you are having a very difficult relationship with your parents, for example, there is a very specific reason for that, because that is also here to teach you something. Or there may also be very complicated karmic connections with people in your life that you reincarnate with over and over again. There are certain dynamics and certain patterns in the lineage that you have been born into. And sometimes this can feel very, very unfair for a person being born into this world. Why have I come here to resolve deep family karma and trauma? And this has also been chosen And in a way, you are the one that these ancestors have been praying for to come to this world and break certain patterns and liberate the entire lineage. So yes, this is a part of the review and work, and also the planning before coming back to this planet. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Could I possibly ask one more?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry to be greedy. This brought up a question for me. I'm wondering, when is the point where we can, in between lives, instead of maybe choosing to come back to Earth, are we bound to keep coming back to Earth until our karma is clear? Or do we have an opportunity in between each incarnation, whenever we pass out of the physical form, do we have an opportunity to choose to incarnate on a different planet in a different star system? Or does it have to keep coming back to Earth until we resolve certain traumas?
No, dear one, it is not simply Earth incarnations that is possible. It is simply deciding where the next incarnation will be. So there is not a set plan that you need to come back to Earth over and over and over again until you have resolved your karma. So yes, there are other incarnations that you can have during this time. It is not simply of graduating from planet Earth before you can incarnate anywhere else. So yes, there may be a gap between your incarnations as well as you choose to incarnate somewhere else.
Amazing. Thank you. Is there anything else that I or we need to know at this time that you'd like to share with us?
Let's see, Arcturians, do you have anything to say? We have a lot to say, yes, and we would like to come back and speak more. Okay, amazing. Thank you. I'll just ask you to step to the side. And I call forth Goddess Isis. Is that the right? Yes, hello, dear one. I am very pleased to be here today and speak about the Grand Awakening, because your question, dear one, is what is it that is happening now on this planet? Why are so many waking up to their gifts at this point in time? And this is the time of the divine feminine rising on planet Earth, because the old ways of working are no longer aligned anymore. These old paradigms, these old constructs, these old ways of operating in the world are simply not aligned to where it is that this planet is moving to in its ascension. And this is why more women, especially more than ever, are starting to wake up to their abilities, to their purpose, that they are here to serve in a big way, and creating a life of abundance and truly tapping into the divine feminine way of creating that. Because for such a long time, women have been conditioned to be as men in this very masculine dominated society, to ignore their bodies, ignore their emotions, turn down their emotions, and turn up their masculine energy to operate in the working space, to be successful, to get ahead in their careers. But this has essentially created a spiritual crisis, if you will, that women are burning themselves out. Women are feeling disconnected from their bodies. They are feeling disconnected from themselves and their souls, and feeling, is this all there is? And feeling that this life that was perfectly curated for you, going to university, getting a good job, working in a masculine dominated environment, but feeling that something just doesn't sit right. This is essentially the reality for what many women and what they are waking up to. And it is also essentially an old programming and paradigm that women have often been forced to choose one or the other. Do I choose career or family life? Do I choose a relationship or success? And this is something that so many women are conditioned to believe, that they cannot have it all. And this is very deeply ingrained in the ancestral lines as well, because women have previously not had choice to choose what it is that they want. And then when they do have free will and free choice now, it is like, you need to sacrifice, you need to choose one or the other, you cannot have it all. And there is so much wounding in the feminine, there is so much wounding around self-worth, about not being enough, about having to push and prove your worth and getting ahead in this masculine dominated environment to prove yourself to be successful. and not tuning into your intuition rather than using your logic as a way to get ahead in life, of creating what it is that you think that you want from the level of the mind. And it is also ignoring your wisdom of your body, what your body is telling you, what your body is trying to communicate with you, where you might be in alignment, where you might be very much out of alignment. So this is essentially the rise of the divine feminine on this planet. This is a time where the divine feminine qualities, the divine feminine ways of surrender, of trust, of intuition, of connection, of collaboration, rather than running a one-woman show. These are the ways of the divine feminine. And this is the way, this is the paradigm where you get to have it all. It does not need to be this or that. It gets to be this and that. So you get to choose to have it all, and you get to choose to be abundant. You get to choose to be joyful. You get to be loved. And you get to create your own version of success. And you get to do that in a way that feels fun, that feels effortless, that feels in flow, while you are also serving humanity in the way that you can, the way that you serve best. And this is essentially a path, not of discipline and grit and hard work, but it is a path of surrender. It is really being a vessel for higher intelligence to flow through you. And this is why it is a very important time for women to connect with their divine feminine essence, because this is essentially the key to experiencing everything that they desire to experience in this lifetime.
Incredible, thank you. Is there any way, what is the best way for people to connect with you in particular?
Yes, dear one. So in every lifetime, I am finding my daughters. And what I mean by this is that there are many women that have served for me in the temples of Isis, my priestesses. And I find them in each and every lifetime. And your channel, Nina, for her, I just showed up. I started showing up in her dreams. And this is a way where I usually start to show up for my daughters. And you start to feel that connection. It is a very overwhelming sense of love, of connection. You have felt this yourself, no?
I was just thinking about how you came into a dream of mine a few weeks ago, and it was very overwhelming in a beautiful way. Yes. More, please.
So if it is that you resonate with my energy and would like to request my assistance in your life, all you have to do is simply call upon me and my presence, and ask for my support with whatever it is that you need support with in your life. And it does not need to be more complicated than that.
Thank you. What advice would you give to people who might be dealing with self-sabotage tendencies?
Yes, dear one, this is a very important question as well, because even though your soul knows who it is that you are and what you are here to do, it is a very human thing to self-sabotage at times. And this is simply because you are wired a certain way. You have a specific programming and certain wounds that may come to the surface because, as you may already know, following the path of your highest alignment and your soul alignment and your soul mission will actually propel you into the fastest ascension path that is available to you. It will allow your deepest fears, your deepest insecurities to come to the surface, to be seen. And there are two options that you have as a human on the planet, as many do decide to do. They start to think, this is too hard, it is not meant for me, and start to question the whole process and essentially leave their soul-aligned path because it was simply too hard. And this is what is important to understand here, is that the keys to your expansion is through. The only way through is through. And this is seeing these hurdles that come up along the way as the keys to your highest expansion. So they have been placed there strategically for you to unlock your greatness, if you will. So if you are experiencing a hardship on your path, or experiencing some self-sabotage along the way, it is really important for you to, rather than bypass the experience or try to numb your emotions, is to really see what it is that is coming up within you. What is it that is being mirrored back to you in your reality? And really seeing that as a way for you to go into deep introspection and see, what is it within me that is creating this experience? What is it within me that has been triggered? What is it that is coming up to the surface for me to revisit again? Because at times you humans think that your healing is a one and done thing, and the path of healing is not simply about fixing things, it is expanding. So what is it that I am expanding into? And the real lesson here is to understand that yes, you can heal from a wound, but at every level you will have a different devil, so to speak. So it may be that the same thing will come up, but in different ways, shapes, or forms. So if you have a deep wound around your worth, around your self-worth, and you feel that you have done the deep healing work and it has allowed you to propel forward and create a certain level of success in your life or in your business or in your wealth, then yes, this is what has created your new baseline, yes? And in order to get to the next baseline, your new set point, if you will, there is a new series of things that you would need to work through. So seeing it as the video game, essentially, what is it that you need to get to level 1? What is it that you need to get to level 2? And knowing that the worthiness wound can resurface once again, and then this can make people discouraged. Why do I need to work on this again when it has already come up for me in the past? So it is simply shifting your mindset and view around healing and personal expansion, and asking yourself, what is it that I'm expanding into? Because your soul mission, your soul blueprint is so unique to you, and it is encoded within you. And when you understand truly and completely who it is that you are on a soul level, and tap into that truth daily, so that you can truly remember who you are, and everything that is coming along the way is just a distortion of truth that is there for you to look at, that is there for you to process, and you can surrender it all. Not saying that you need to be completely healed and a happy and high vibe person all the way, but whatever it is that you are feeling, the doubt, the insecurity, it is simply showing you that you are on the brink of something big, that you are on the brink of expansion. So if you can surrender that, if you can surrender that to source, surrender the insecurity, surrender the self-doubt, surrender the so-called imposter syndrome, because there is no imposter syndrome, because you are as unique as your thumbprint, dear one. You are so unique with a unique mission, unique codes, unique gifts, a unique way of being in this world. And when you come back to your truth and realize that there is no competition, there is no competition, there is only one you, and there is only one you that can do what you do in the way that you can. This allows you to start to come back to your path of truth. So seeing self-sabotage as portals of expansion, if you will. So a reframe for you to keep coming back to on your path, and also tapping into your truth and the remembrance of who it is that you are here to be, and your bigger vision, and knowing that this is a normal path, this is a normal process. Do you have any more questions about this, dear one?
Just to clarify surrender, because I think a lot of people do struggle with that term a little bit. When you say to surrender when these moments come up, does that mean to literally sit with it rather than, reaching for the candy bar or reaching for the alcohol or whatever it might be that's a quick fix to numb the pain? Is surrendering the key to this? Is it really to sit with it and just be there, or is it to distract yourself in a more positive way? How do we surrender?
Yes, and what you are describing is acceptance, and yes, this is in fact step 1. So whatever it is that you are experiencing in your current reality, remember always that yes, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So remember that your human needs to be taken care of as well. So when your human is sitting with the experience, the discomfort of whatever it is that you are experiencing, you are allowing yourself to process that in your body, in your nervous system. And this is very important for you to do, because the opposite of this is numbing your emotions with watching television or eating or doing things that are distracting you in any way. So it is important for you to honor your human experience. It is very important for you to honor what your human is going through, whatever emotions are present, because they are simply energy and motion. So this is how you are working energetically, but with the human body. So using your body as a tool to your ascension is also important, because it's not only an energetic game, it is important to honor your body and honor your emotions and whatever it is that you are going through that is valid. Because a common misconception that many of you have on this planet is that whatever it is that you are feeling is labeled as bad. If you are not feeling high vibrational and happy and motivated and abundant and joyous, then something must be wrong. So what happens is that this creates resistance to certain emotions that may be seen as bad, but this is understanding that there is no good, there is no bad, it simply just is. And when you are able to accept that, life becomes a lot easier. There is more ease, there is more flow. And this is essentially also the way of the divine feminine. This is truly and completely feeling your emotions, honoring it and processing it through your body. Because you see, the essence of the divine feminine is that she can hold it all. She can hold everything. So knowing that when you are experiencing an emotion, it is a wave. And can you allow yourself to flow with the wave? Knowing that you are the entire ocean. So if something is present for you, be with it, honor it, and know that it is just a wave. And when you are able to experience pain, as you would call it in your human language, this is also what opens you up to your greatest portals of pleasure. Because what a lot of people are feeling at this point in time is that they feel emotionally numb. They do not know when they are feeling what they are feeling. They simply know when they are feeling good or when they are feeling bad. And when you are emotionally numb in this way, then you are not able to experience the fullness of this human experience. You're not able to feel those ecstatic states of joy and of pleasure, because you are also avoiding the less pleasant emotions to feel them. So it is important to equally feel the pain to be able to expand into your greatest portals of pleasure. Is this making sense to you?
Yes, definitely. That's a great point. Thank you.
And this is what it is to truly sit in acceptance. So it is not bypassing. It is, the first step is to accept whatever it is that is present for you. And your question, dear one, around surrender, what does that actually mean? And that is also a way to navigate your life, because what it is that is very present for humans, and especially your conscious minds, but also your unconscious minds, is that the mind likes certainty. It likes repetition. It likes familiarity. This is the way that you humans are wired, and this is how it is. And understanding that you humans are wired for repetition, that is keeping you inside the comfort zone, is it not? And that desire for certainty is really what's closing you off to the magic and limitlessness that is available to you, because that is what it means to completely surrender. And if we put this in different contexts, if you would like to surrender to your psychic abilities or your intuitive guidance, this essentially means surrendering your human mind, your lower mind, to your higher mind. And it is lowering your expectation or eliminating it completely. It is truly being in a state of surrender without expectation, with getting out of the way and surrendering to whatever it is that wants to come through for you in the form of guidance, in the form of support, in the form of healing. It is also saying, I surrender to my path. I do not need to know what it's going to look like, but I know what the next right step for me is. I know what my highest aligned action step would be at this point. I know what truly lights me up at this point, and it's okay that I do not know where I am going. That is surrendering to your divine plan. And it is essentially, this is the way of how to truly get into a state of trusting as well, because when you are able to trust that you will be guided and that you will be supported, and as long as you are following the breadcrumbs, if you will, as long as you are following your highest excitement and where it is that your soul is guiding you to go, that will be your most soul-aligned path of joy, of abundance, of success, of love. So that is following the nudges, the intuitive nudges that don't make sense, and you don't have a game plan, and you don't know exactly how things are going to pan out, Maybe you've received a guidance that you need to sell everything you own and move to another country. And this sounds incredibly drastic, but a complete state of surrender would be surrendering to that guidance and not knowing what would be available to the other side. But knowing that when you are guided by your soul and following every single piece of guidance that comes through, that things turn out better than you could have ever imagined for yourself. So it is simply surrendering to that internal guidance first and foremost. Surrendering to life as well. And having that trust and faith that the universe, that source, is here to support you in everything that you desire.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate that. I think that's all for now. Unless there's anything in particular that you think we need to hear at this time. I mean, obviously I could ask you 50,000 questions, but I think we've got a lot of beautiful wisdom that we can work with for now.
No, I am complete, dear one, and it was a pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you. And goodbye.
Bye. How you feeling?
Well, some of it was really wonky in the beginning, being like super, like it was kind of tricky to get out of the way. But when I was speaking and flowing, it was out of the way. But then it was like these little interruptions where I was just like,
Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for being open and vulnerable and, willing to channel live for myself and for all the listeners. We're all very, very grateful we get to experience some of the wisdom that comes through. And we definitely need to do this again, definitely. And I will have more questions prepared because I wasn't very prepared this time. I thought maybe I'd get one or two and they're like, more, what else do you have? I'm like, oh my God. And then the Arcturian Council came in. They're one of my favorites. I'm like, oh, damn, I wasn't prepared for that. But how are you feeling? You good?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit spacey, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm gonna need to ground myself properly after this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, my love, for your time. I really appreciate it. As always, I've had so much fun talking with you and learning from you. And I can't wait till the next time because, yeah, we're doing this again.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.